Well, hello, friends. Welcome to Mentorship Matters. This is a podcast dedicated to talking about the transformative power of mentorship in the community. I am Tracy Carmichael. I serve as Chief Operating Officer for Big Brothers of Orange County in the Inland Empire. The Inland Empire is what we're going to talk about today. We have two stellar community members from Riverside. We have Dominique Samario, who serves as Chief Strategic Partnerships and Communications Officer for Riverside County Office of Education, serving alongside Superintendent Dr. Gomez. Thank you so much for being here, Dominique.
I'm so glad to be here today.
We also are joined by one of our very own, Ms. Sharon Tennell, who serves as Senior Director of Community Engagement in our Inland Empire region, office located in Riverside. Thank you for being here, Sharon.
Thank you for having me.
And just a quick note, Sharon really is one of Riverside's finest. You can find her in an episode of The Riversider, where they highlight her as being the bright light in our community. So thank you both for your service. I'm excited to talk to you both today. I want to start, though, I always start with getting to know someone personally. We all bring our own full person to our lives every day, so I want to learn a little bit more about you. So Dominique, I'm going to start with you. How did you end up in the Inland Empire in Riverside? Tell me a little bit about your journey getting there.
Gosh, that's such a fascinating question for me. My journey is one of a bit of movement. My father was in the Marine Corps, and so I grew up in Southern California, but I moved quite a bit. I went to many schools. I've lived throughout the nation. I went to 3 high schools, but I went to college in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. And, always knew I was passionate about giving back. I was really fortunate to go to an amazing school, and I said yes to some internship opportunities. And my last internship in college afforded me my first job out of college, which was traveling the world. So I come to Riverside after being worldwide, and it was such a gift to just open your eyes to everything that was out there. But I loved what I did, but I knew I wanted just a little bit more giving back. And so I ended up in Santa Barbara, actually, and I worked in television. And I am not making this up. I Googled television channels Santa Barbara, and the city's TV channel came up. And I'm like, great, the city's TV channel. But no, it meant city, in City Hall.
Oh.
The city's TV channel. And I'm like, oh, that's different. But, you're young, and even you're like, sounds great, right? Mm-hmm. But it could not have been a better fit, because it took all of my skill set and allowed me to devote everything to public service. And so I just was so fortunate, and it sounds like a really clear journey. There were a lot of, curves along the way. And but I fell in love with serving in municipal capacities, and then went back and got my Master's of Public Administration, so passionate about communication and public service. But my parents, eventually, comes full circle to being in the military, they retired and they were going to settle somewhere, and they settled in Riverside County. And so when just an incredible opportunity in public service came up in Riverside County, and we could live, just a few minutes from my parents with 2 young kids, I had to say yes. And so I've been there. I now work in the education part of public service, and every day is a joy. And working in Riverside is like nothing else I've ever experienced, mm-hmm. because it is, we were talking about it earlier, but it is this huge place, but the people are so passionate about making a difference where they can. And so it's just a gift every day.
And I know you have a really big job, and we're going to get to that. But I want to hear from Miss Sharon over here. How did you end up in Riverside?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Tracy. I have a full circle moment. So I started my career out of college in human resources, and it led me to work to a position in Riverside with social services. And then corporate America came calling, literally. They headhunted me, and I went to corporate America. And I spent about 27 years there, actually. Mm-hmm. And they retired me. And I thought, what am I going to do now? I've always wanted to return to social services. So what I ended up doing was just shopping and Googling, because the way we job hunt is a little different.
That's what we do.
And Big Brothers Big Sisters popped out, and I thought this is probably where I need to be, because I've always wanted to give back and serve the youth in our community. And I signed up, and I'm here, mm-hmm. and I love it. I was just having this conversation the other night. It's something that I was kind of plopped into, and if you think of those little flowers that used to grow back in the day when we were kids, I feel like it was my growth area. And it's become my passion. And I'm so excited to be senior director.
Well, I'll tell you, we love having you, and you've done amazing work. So thank you.
Thank you.
I want to kind of paint a broad stroke of like the scope of Riverside County. So Dominique in particular, I mean, Riverside County Office of Ed supports 515 schools. That's 515, 23 school districts, and over 430,000 students. That is massive. And I have to call out also the success you've seen. I mean, I just learned at the State of Education recently that you all have the highest high school graduation rate in the state as a county at 92.4%. So you all are doing something right. And so I want you to talk a little bit about how does the county approach the support to the schools within Riverside County, and what's your role in that?
Oh, thank you for that question and for calling out those statistics. It's something that we are proud of every day. You know, I could talk forever on this topic, but really it comes down to everything we do. We think, how is that best serving our students? And, you know, 430,000 plus students, it's a big number, but we truly look at it as like, but it's that individual student who we're serving. Very much that mentorship model. And, you know, it's like that one, that's the example, then we can do it for all 432,000, right? And so, you know, I'm so fortunate to work for, and I mean this, a visionary superintendent of schools, Dr. Edwin Gomez, whom you mentioned earlier. And so he's really come in and he has 5 initiatives. And we do so many things, from running our own schools to supporting special education, alternative education, but then supporting instruction and curriculum. I mean, it's just such a broad scope that the Riverside County Office of Education works on. Yet we look at them all through these lens of 5 initiatives, and we say things like, how are we providing a competitive edge to our students? Because I know we talk a lot about the workplace, and the workplace that these students are going to be graduating into, it's going to look different. Our kindergartners, we talk about that. Those entering, say, at TK, the world when they graduate will not look like what
their
it
job
is
won't
today.
exist yet.
So we have to find these ways of how are we always elevating what we do. And so no matter which division you're in within, I'll call it RCOE, Riverside County Office of Education, RCOE for short, we're looking through that lens. We're looking through mental health. We're looking through financial literacy, because our goal is, how do we get our community to thrive? When we have thriving schools, thriving students, thriving families, that creates thriving communities, right? And so it's just so neat to be able, we go into every situation and say, how can we best serve our students? How do we think outside the box to do that? How do we partner with our districts, with community organizations? We're always thinking, what's the bigger picture? And that's right. I mean, we're so grateful for our partnership with Big Brothers Big Sisters.
As are we.
And so we're just, it's like, how do we always take something to the next level? And so it's a passion of every person who works there, and I'm so grateful to work alongside them.
Yes, and thank you for your partnership. You know, we Sharon and I attended State of Education lunch together, and that competitive edge angle spoke to us, right? Because we talk a lot about what goes into mentorship, and the hardest part actually becomes the easiest part, where it's just about showing up. And so it sounds like as a county office of education, you all are doing that well. Sharon, I want you to talk a little bit first about what your role is. What does it mean to be Senior Director of Community Engagement? And then how do you try to inspire mentors to come into the lives of these children? Because we talk about just showing up as the battle.
Yeah, I'll take the first half of that. So as Senior Regional Director of Big Brothers Big Sisters, what it really means is that I am overseeing staff that is making it happen. Everything from going out and recruiting to bringing folks in to interview, and then finally enrolling them in our program. One of the things I take pride in, my previous role, I was a sales director, sales trainer, and I've taken that approach and applied it to our staff as to how we go out and we recruit our mentors. One of the things that we talk about is you do have time, because that's the first objection we hear, right? I don't have time. And we talk about having 2 hours. What would you be doing in those 2 hours? I know a lot of folks are in reality TV. You're going to waste some time, right? Or reading a book.
I could be scrolling.
I could be scrolling. TikTok. So we talk about giving back to your community. One of the things that I have found is a lot of our mentors, our bigs as we call them, they see themselves a lot of times in our children. And how do they do that? We tell terrific stories when we're out recruiting. I often tell the story of being a first generation college student and being on a campus and having no clue. Had it not been for a mentor in my life, I don't know where I would have gone, where I would have been. So those are some of the things, some of the ways that we engage our bigs to sign up. We are very strategic about where we go and how we cultivate our mentors in the communities.
So, Dominique, you're in the business of communications, right? So, do you have any advice for us? I mean, we are in the business of inspiring mentorship, right? And you work closely with an individualized lens, as you mentioned, with so many youth in our community and also adults that are serving these youth. Do you have any advice for Sharon or for us of how to inspire folks, particularly in Riverside County?
Oh my goodness, that's a great question. I'm feeling a little pressure here.
We're listening.
I'm like, no
and I'm
pressure.
Take notes, so go ahead.
You know what? We talk about, first of all, again, we could talk all day about that. The three of us, I'm certain. But, we talk about in what we do a lot, something that comes to mind is the power of stories. It's one of the few things we have and everyone can connect to, because ultimately, what are we trying to do? We're trying to connect, right? And so the mentor is connecting with the student, but you're connecting with that mentor to say, you do have time. Oh, and I can tell you some stories about that, but you do have time. Everyone does. They have enough time. And so, in talking with the youth, but then also in talking with the mentors, with whom you're recruiting, it's like, tell them that story. Let them envision themselves. I think people want to envision who they want to be, right? And they want to be somebody who gives back.
Yes.
They want to be someone who's changing the lives. And then what we do, we kind of tell this inspirational story, but then we always support it with the data, right? Because there are the people who are like, great, I hear that, but I need some facts.
Give me the numbers.
Right? Because everyone has their own lens, right? And you got to
me,
connect with them, right? So that's good. You're like, give me those numbers. And so for us, it's telling the beautiful story to get them in. But now we got you. Like, we've got the facts, we've got the data that shows, and you have amazing data that shows. And we talk about it all the time at the school level. One of you mentioned our state of education. One of the biggest success stories was our school districts who are doing amazing things about getting students to school. They can learn. Oftentimes, they're just not in the seat, right? And so that's what we might refer to as chronic absenteeism. And since COVID, I mean this is something that every district throughout the state, throughout the nation is facing. And so the story of this school district success, it was a story of mentorship. When they paired the student up with one team member from the district at the district level, those students, they had like a 99% success rate in the increase in attendance from those students.
It's the power of showing up.
And that's the power of showing up. And so it's like, you can, I'm listening to these stories and I'm crying and it's beautiful and it draws me in, but it's that fact at the end that I go, oh man, that works.
It's the so what, right? Like I talk about that with our team a lot. It's the so what. What are we measuring? Why are we doing it? And so what? So I think, something, Sharon, I'm going to ask you a question from your previous role. We always want to inspire future generations of mentors. We want to be kind of upstream of it, so to speak. So prior to Sharon being our Senior Director of Community Engagement, she actually oversaw our high school bigs programming as part of her program portfolio.
Such a great program.
Our high school big program for our listeners out there is a model in which high school students literally walk from their school to a local elementary school, and we match them up with an elementary student. So Sharon, if you could just talk for a moment about the power of that program and what you experienced overseeing that in terms of, kind of creating this pipeline of mentors so the exposure starts young.
Yeah. One of the things that we saw, and there's a stat, you both love stats, I know that. I'm one of those folks that
she's like, we're generalizing. It's
yes,
okay.
Yes.
I'm going to generalize this stat. We saw, we in the beginning of the program, in the beginning of the year, and I'm just going to pick on this one match that I have in my head. Very shy young man. We paired him with a very outgoing high school young man in the sports kind of, I guess in the old days we would say jocks of the campus. And this kid just blossomed mid-year. and they had great times. They even went to a baseball game, with the parental supervision. But what we see a lot of times with our High School Bigs program is that these children, they start out, some of them are in foster care, some of them are single parent households, and they really gravitate to our high school students. They in fact get sad when they don't show up. So that's one of the recruitment tips that we utilize, is to tell our high school students it is a commitment, it is a 1-year commitment, and you would be amazed how close they get over that year. And they do everything from building rockets, we have a lot of STEM activities, and it's rewarding to go to site. I encourage anyone out there that wants to visit our program to come on the campuses and just observe. It is eye-opening how one child can make a difference in another child's life. And it's that peer-to-peer, one-on-one.
You know, and I'll tell you, those high school students are more qualified than me to connect with the youth.
Absolutely.
Because there's so much I don't know that the youth are experiencing right now, because the world is so rapidly changing, right?
Yeah.
Dominique, I wanna talk to you a little bit. What makes this interview special for me is not only because I connect with you on a professional level, but you also are a big sister in our organization, and I know you have the joy of being a big sister to Lola. So I wanted to hear how long you've known Lola, and tell me a little bit about her.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna get teary-eyed. So, it was actually this work that finally got me to make the move and apply. So because of our partnership, Riverside County Office of Education, we were supporting the first ever mental health summit. It was hosted at our facility last year in the spring, and I would have these meetings, and everyone on your team is just like the two of you sitting here, they're engaging, they're passionate, and I'd end these meetings and I would always say, gosh, I always wanted to do that. And then I'd end the meeting and I'm like, well, why haven't I done it, right? And so one time that night, I just went, I'm just going to apply. I'm just going to apply. And I did. And once I pressed submit, though, I'm like, oh, I'm very accountable because I work with these people too now, right? Like
double. We will be watching this.
I'm like, oh, this is real. I'm like, oh man, what did I do?
And
but
you better
no.
be good.
Yeah. And so I went through the process. I was so fortunate to make it through. And they you could tell more about the whole matching process, which is amazing. I've never felt more supported. It was so personal yet systematic and strategic. And I just told them, I truly said, I'm open to anyone who comes my way who needs a big, then I want to meet with them. And so I did. In the first one, it was like in my region. They make sure you don't have to drive too far. And I met with Lola and her mom, and she was about to become a freshman in high school. So she's on the older side. And I mean, I'm sure all ages are amazing, but I'm a huge advocate for the older students because we have the best time together. And I'm so grateful for Lola. Something you mentioned earlier about like you don't have the time or like what would we be doing scrolling. I actually appreciate Lola because I am pretty busy. I have 2 young kids. I'm going to school. I'm working. It's all those things, all the things everyone has. So it's not any more impressive or extensive than anyone else. But you know what Lola does? She gives me time to go have fun.
Yes.
Like we go get tea.
Yes.
We go
because why wouldn't you?
Park. And when I'm there, I'm really there.
Yes.
And when I'm doing a lot of other things, I am the first person to admit I'm guilty of like also checking work emails and also doing this and also feeling the pressure and my laundry needs to get done and all of those things, right?
Great multitasking that we all do.
Yeah, but when I'm with Lola, I'm like, we have the best time. Sometimes we just like go to a fabric store because she's the best. She's so creative and she makes these cool things and we'll be there for like an hour and I'm just like having the best time.
And how much have you learned from her? Because I'm realizing in my own journey, I'm like, wow, who I actually am the one learning.
My gosh. Like shout out to Lola for planning the entire week that my children's school, love them. They had dress days for like a week in October.
Like themes.
And themes. And she's like, we've got this. And we were tie-dyeing and she's like sending me videos like, this is how you tie-dye. Because I'm like, well, I can order a tie-dye shirt. And she's like, I think it would be better if you made them a tie-dye shirt. And I'm like, oh, Lola, I can't let you down. So I'm taking pictures. My laundry room sink is all full color. And I think of Lola every time I see it. But no, but like she teaches me all the time. She makes me cooler. Because I'm not that
That's
hip.
for sure.
We listen to music all the time. Like we share songs. And the other thing, and I'll just share this because I know I'm talking on and on about Lola and how much I love being her big sister. But I also love my relationship with her mom. Her mom is amazing. She's an inspiration as a mom, who's so supportive of her daughter. And to be able to I really feel like I get to be a part of their lives, you know? And so it's a joy. And I couldn't be more grateful for the opportunity. So
yes. Well, thank you for joining our mission. And that really is, I talk about how you feel like it's going to be a time commitment or a time suck in your life until you meet them. And then it was just like the minute I met my little sister, I was like, oh, I'm never giving you up. Like this, we will forever be in touch, right?
I know. I'm like, Lola, I hope you love hanging out with me as much as I love hanging out because like we're in, you know?
Yeah, what she brings to my life, definitely. Sharon, so you're in the business of creating these matches. I mean, that is your primary purpose here for the organization. So tell our listeners a little bit about that journey. So if I go online and I submit that application, what is that volunteer journey and what can I expect from that?
Yeah, sure. You can expect a phone call from one of our recruiters who you've probably spoken with in the community, and if not, a lot of folks do find us online. And you can expect a reach out. And what we do is we bring in our potential bigs. I'm trying to switch the acronym in my head to real words. Our potential bigs, we bring them in, we interview them, we have a conversation with them. We talk about their likes, their dislikes, and just like you mentioned, what do you want? And you were like, I'm open to anyone, which we love that. And we have a discussion, and we just really get to know who our big is. And then you can expect some mechanical stuff, like there's background check. There is fingerprinting that goes on because we have to, at the end of the day, one of our primary goals and missions, of course, is child safety. And from there, we interview the littles, the families of the littles. Just as you mentioned, you now have a new friend in Lola's mom, which is awesome. We hope for that. And we interview the families, and then we bring together the big and the little, and we see if they vibe. I'm going to use a real hip word. I'm not hip, but I'm going to use it.
You sounded really good just now.
I'm so hip. They vibe.
This is why we all need littles.
Right. We do a vibe check. And we make sure that everyone is on the same page. We involve the families, and from there, we have a discussion internally about should we go forward with this match. 9 times out of 10, we do, and they're matched. And we start. One of the great things that I don't think we talk enough about is the support that you mentioned. We have a team of folks who they can give you they can give your match everything from where to go. Maybe there's a voucher. If we have some bigs that are like, I want to do all these great things, but I don't have money to go to Disneyland. I have 4 kids of my own. And we say, that's okay, we got you. We can give you top golf vouchers, whatever our community gives back to us and pours into us, we then pour into the match.
I'm so glad you brought that up, Sharon, because I think an important part of the journey is we don't just match you and then set you free, right? Like we have a very structured, intentional, thoughtful process to where we're supporting the match. I mean, they're quite frankly called match support specialists, and their job is to make sure everything's going smoothly. Are there any issues that are coming up with your youth that we can help you with? We have the pleasure of having a full wraparound services team here. So if there's needs beyond someone's capacity as a mentor, we step right in and help because we want to make sure we keep that relationship as solid as possible. And we know that if we don't stabilize the youth and or their family, it's going to be harder to do that, right?
Yes, and I can certainly vouch for all of those things. I've felt them. I've experienced them. Shout out to Tawny, who is amazing. Talk with her every month, and it's as long as it needs to be. She's just a support, whatever I need, resources, ideas. Just also a cheerleader. Like, it's going great. They're saying good things. Everyone's happy. I'm like, thank you. That's so good. You know, but I love that she talks to the family because, then I know they can be real with her. And then, I'm like, okay, great. They're not just telling me it's going well. And but the whole team is so supportive and so positive. And so you guys are just doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
Truly.
Sharon, I know we're working the wait list and we're matching as fastly as we can. But what's the wait list look like right now? What is our need in Riverside?
Our need in Riverside right now, we have over 50 children. And I'm going to be very specific because this is what I say out in the field in the community. Over 50 children right now on our wait list, mostly Black and brown children. That does not mean that we can't have other folks who are involved and want to be a big. We are, at this point, looking for more male mentors. We really have a need. We have a lot of little littles that are boys.
Yeah.
And we really want to make sure that we're intentional and we're strategic about placing them with male role models, i.e. bigs. And that's the need right now. I'm proud to say that that number was higher. We've done a lot to chisel at that number.
We sure
it was over 100, and we're now, and we're now down to over 50. So I think the count is about 55, 56. It ebbs and flows. I had one closer yesterday, but that's okay. We keep going out and we keep looking. We keep trying to fulfill Little's dreams.
That's right. That's right. So listen, this will air in June. June is a seasonal month, especially in the educational realm, where you have graduations, you have Juneteenth, you have higher ed month. So a lot going on. So we're going to have a bunch, especially in Riverside, of youth graduating high school.
I'm attending them.
At least 92.4%, right?
Yes.
So I'm curious though, if you can even think back to when you graduated high school and everything that brought you to where you are today. What is your piece of advice for graduating seniors in 2025?
Am I starting?
Please.
Yes. It's like that was the look. So yes, that's such a great question, and I appreciate that opportunity to think back. And the number one biggest predictor of everything I have now is that I said yes to things. When someone said, we have a few internships, is anyone interested? I was the first person to email. When someone said, we're looking for an intern to work for a week, but it's paid. Oh, yes, I'm in,
please.
I have a job, but it's in New York. Are you open to taking your first job in New York? Absolutely. City TV is in a city hall. Okay, then I'll learn about local government, right? I just can't. I mean, the list could go on and on forever, but just being open to the things that come your way. I think so many things will be presented to these graduates. And if they're open to seeing them, it will guide them. And someday, I really believe this, they'll look back and they'll say, it all makes sense now.
Yeah.
But they might not feel it at this moment because I did not at every turn. I'm like, I don't know. And you just keep saying yes. And I really believe that there's going to be a beautiful path for them that will all make sense at some point.
We share that vision. Thank you, Dominique. Sharon.
You want me to follow that?
I mean, we can try. I can do a drum roll if that helps. I mean, but
the first thing that popped in my mind when I think back to graduating high school and then going forward in the college is fear. So what I would tell the class of 2025 is have no fear. Think about where it is that you wish to go, but not in the moment, because I also felt an immense amount of pressure to go and my parents always wanted me to be an attorney. And I went to 1 year law school, and then my hair fell out. I was not passionate about law, not in that sense. So I would tell the class, while you are looking to fulfill your passion, let it be your passion, and take that fear that you're feeling, I remember going on Cal State Fullerton campus and thinking, this is way too big. I have no idea where my classes are. I'm going to faint now. It was fear. But to step out of that fear and to realize your real passion, whatever that may be.
And I mean, in essence, y'all are saying the same thing.
The same thing,
right?
I was
Have no
thinking
fear
that.
and say yes.
Yes.
So
say yes.
I want to tie this up with a pretty bow here, because I think for the listeners who are interested in becoming a mentor, you could be that one person who helps a youth minimize their fear and say yes to opportunities, right? So for all of you listening out there, check out our website, join our volunteer journey. You could have the pleasure of speaking with Miss Sharon Tennell on the phone live or meeting her in the office to get matched up with one of our over 50 youth on our wait list. I want to thank you both so much for your time, for being here, for your commitment to the Riverside community, and I look forward to talking to you real soon. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.